Well, welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you today. Today I'm going to make Heirloom Macaroni Salad. And you know, an heirloom is just something that you hand down from one generation to the next. So I thought it was time to hand this down. Here are the ingredients. Please pause and write them down. And hey, we would love it if you would give us a thumbs up and share. Well, I know everybody already knows how to cook macaroni, but I'm going to go through just a couple points. I've been making some version of this for about 50 years, but I learned some stuff. That's lots of salt. You want to always put lots of salt when you're cooking pasta. I learned something from my favorite YouTube chef, Chef John on foodwishes.com. Adding my macaroni, stirring. And so I figured, well, there are little tips that folks can pick up even 50 years later, so I might share just a few. When the water comes back to a boil, give it a really good stir so that things don't stick together. No oil. I used to add oil. I don't anymore. I don't think you should. Cook it according to directions. Then we're going to pour it up into a colander, and we want to drain this really, really well. And don't be tempted to rinse this with cold water. Stir it around. Get the water out of the noodles because we want to get it dry. And we're going to cool it, but we're not going to cool it with water because that will wash off all that nice starch that's going to make your macaroni salad special. You really do need that starch, so don't wash it away. So while the macaroni's cooling there in this sink, we're going to make our dressing. And this is just under a cup of mayonnaise. And I say just under because the recipe is for a pound, 16 ounces, and my box was just 14 ounces, so I'm adjusting. And we can always add more later, and will. This is a 1/4 cup finely chopped pickles, my homemade pickles, and a 1/4 cup of the pickle juice. If you don't have pickle juice and you choose to use sweet relish or something, you can use a 1/4 cup lemon juice, but you do need the acid. This is about a tablespoonful, maybe 2, maybe 1, I don't know. Some chopped chives from my garden. I gave them a little haircut. This is 1/2 cup of finely chopped onion. Now you can use green onions to substitute for the chives and the regular onions. I don't have green onions right now. Well, I mean, I have some in the garden, but I'm trying to let those grow and get big. So this is a 1/2 cup finely chopped celery. And you do want your veggies pretty finely chopped in this. Nothing bigger than the macaroni. And this is 1/2 cup finely chopped red pepper. You can use any peppers you want. You can use more peppers. You can use green peppers. I mean, peppers are such a personal thing. Use what you like. And this is 2 tablespoons full of mustard. This is regular yellow mustard. You can use brown or Dijon, whatever you like. And this is 2 medium-sized carrots. And if you'll notice, I've grated these. One of my personal pet peeves is little hard chunks of carrots in my macaroni salad. But you can do it that way if you'd rather. I just like to have them grated. I think they release more of their natural sweetness when they're grated. And I don't put any sugar in my macaroni salad. I like to go with the sweetness from the vegetables, but you know, I don't put sugar in anything. But this has a wonderful fresh taste and you don't need the sugar. So the acid that we added and the sweetness of the vegetables, and you can put just a little salt now, but don't overdo it, because we're going to taste it for salt after everything's been mixed together. But a tiny bit of salt will help the vegetables kind of weep and liquefy a little bit. So we're going to cover this with my favorite little thing. My mother calls these shower caps. I get them at the dollar store. They're cheap and reusable. So push it down. You want it to touch the food so that it doesn't form a film. And we're going to refrigerate this for a couple hours while we get the macaroni ready. So I've got this big bowl with some ice and another bowl here. And this is for the macaroni. And this is one of the little things I learned from Chef John. You know, I used to refrigerate my macaroni, and then I would have this lump of macaroni. because you know you've got to cool it before you can add a mayonnaise dressing. and you can't cool it with cold water because you'll lose your starch. So I stirred it a few times while it was in the colander, and now I'm going to cool it here on some ice. And that way you're not just leaving it sit out at room temperature, but we do want to cool it down to room temperature, and we don't want it stuck together. So every 15 minutes or so I'm going to come over here and stir this pretty gently just to loosen it up. And I have found that doing it this way, you don't get that big lump you get when you refrigerate it, and your pieces stay whole. They don't come apart because you're trying to tear them apart. And after about an hour or so, you have this nice separate macaroni, and it kind of sticks to your fingers, which is a good sign. But it's all together, it's not in pieces. So I just dump out the ice and then put my macaroni in the big bowl so I've got lots of room. And I'm adding my cold veggies and dressing to my room temperature macaroni, and stir it kind of gently. And yeah, that's lots of vegetables in sauce, and that's good. And it is a salad. And each one of these ingredients brings its own gift to this dish, which is actually one of my favorites. I'll spend my carbs on this every once in a while. So we're going to give it a taste. Remember, I'm not going to finish off the salting at this point, but I do want to add a little pepper. You can use black pepper. I really love red pepper flakes in this. They bring just a little zing. And then we're through with it for now. You know, macaroni salad is not just one of those things that you may make a day ahead. It's one of those things that you should make a day ahead. Don't be in a hurry. Give yourself plenty of time. We're going to cover this with cling wrap. And you know, the right way to use cling wrap on something like this is not to stretch it over the top, but to lay it down on the food, and that prevents a film from forming. So here we are tomorrow, or there we were yesterday. Anyway, this is today, and I'm taking this out of the fridge, and we're going to finish this up. And if you're having this for a cookout or whatever, you want to do this step right before time to eat. And 24 hours or so in the fridge is an asset to this piece. I'm fluffing it up, checking the creaminess. You know, almost all of the excess moisture has been soaked up, and that's a good thing. And now is the time to taste for salt, because you really don't get a good taste for salt until everything's together and all at the same temperature. And I am going to add just a tiny little bit. It doesn't need much, because you know I salted the macaroni and I used a salty pickle brine as my acid. But if you use lemon juice, you may need a little bit more salt. And I want it a little creamier, so I'm going to add a little more mayonnaise and stir it in well. You almost always have to add more mayonnaise after it's been refrigerated like this. Otherwise it's a little dry, and to me macaroni salad is supposed to be creamy. Not soppy, not soaking in moisture, but creamy. And you know, if you absolutely insist, you can add a couple tablespoons full of sugar to this. A lot of people do like the sugar taste. I just don't. So after you've salted and sugared to your heart's content, we're going to plate this up and show you what I've got. And you know, I ran outside and decided to sacrifice an onion for garnish right out of my garden. So fresh. So I hope the meat on the grill is ready, because I'm ready. I'm going to give this a taste. You know, to me, this is the perfect summertime comfort food. A cookout is not complete without macaroni salad, in my humble opinion. And this is creamy and sweet with no added sugar. Fresh tasting because of all the vegetables. And it's just really going to make a pretty table for you when you have guests over for that summertime cookout. Or just when your family wants something special. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. Hope to see you again tomorrow.